In 1923, Season 2, Episode 6, Elizabeth Strafford, Michelle Randolph, makes a remark that highlights the fundamental distinctions between her and Elsa Dutton, Isabel May, a Dutton ancestor who came from a similar background, but likely would have had a different perspective on Lizzie's situation. Elizabeth mentions that there are men on their front porch to keep anyone from capturing the ranch, as she and Cara Dutton, Helen Mirren, wait for a conflict to start. The housebound female 1923 characters feel very insecure right now, even though they might join the battle. We have yet to witness her struggle for her life and the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, despite her tenacity in the face of all the terrible events that befell Elizabeth Strafford in 1923. In contrast, Elsa, the aunt of Jack Dutton, Darren Mann, appears in the 1883 prelude and battles her way through the narrative. If Elsa had lived through 1883, she most likely would have also served on the front lines for the ranch. Sadly, Elizabeth lacks the same tenacity that we find in other Yellowstone characters, and it has been a defining feature of her 1923 Season 2 narrative. It's easy to understand Elizabeth Strafford's anger in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 6, Elizabeth's frustration becomes sensible. It does, however, show why she has found it difficult to live at the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. Elizabeth says that even though there are automobiles, airplanes, and movie theaters in the 20th century, people are still fighting over the land they live on. Although it seems sensible that Elizabeth in The Mountain Teeth of Monsters feels annoyed and perplexed by the necessity of such animosity, her comments in the chapter demonstrate Strafford's genuine ignorance of the survivalist aspects of ranch life, with which she has found it difficult to relate. Elizabeth didn't grow up with the same grit as the other members of the Dutton family because she spent her winters in Boston, even though she was nurtured in part on the Strafford Ranch next to the Yellowstone. It's good if Michelle Randolph's character isn't a gunslinger or infatuated with the American West. She isn't supposed to be like Elsa. Nevertheless, Elizabeth is constantly in danger because of her propensity to be completely unaware of how dire her situation is. Paul's, August Prue, and Hillary's, Janet Montgomery, naivete, which ultimately results in their deaths, is reflected in Elizabeth's remarks, which reveal her lack of perspective. Highlights of Elizabeth in 1923. The shocking truth about Elsa Dutton's death in 1883. When I think of how unprepared Elizabeth is for the Dutton family's war, I think of Elsa because she came from a similar situation but behaved differently. The daughter of Tim McGraw's character, James Dutton, had never been to the American West. They have a lot in common, as she and Elizabeth both had idealized views of what life in the West would be like. Although both Elizabeth and Elsa are from the East, Elsa handles the difficulty of surviving in the West in a way that Elizabeth has hardly touched. At the conclusion of Episode 6, 1923 screenwriter Taylor Sheridan delivered a menacing soliloquy in which he laments that we are all fighting for our lives, and that people cannot outsmart nature. In the Yellowstone series, his characters who adopt this mindset excel, and Elizabeth's journey is less fulfilling because she is out of touch. The terrible truth is that Elizabeth does not stand up to carry on Elsa's legacy after her death in 1883, but other characters do. Some of the franchise's most heroic characters are from 1923, such as Cara and Tiana Rainwater, Amina Neves, and Alexandra Dutton, Julia Schlepfer, who has shown that she is also a lion-hearted person.